An RX bar. That's what they're called.
Nice. I was eating my oatmeal with egg whites and raspberries, some sugar-free syrup. Oh, yes, and coffee. Cheers.
Good morning. When I did the Whole30, this was like the only bar. Well, I think there's one other one or something, but of the two, these are the best tasting. So it doesn't have any sugar. It doesn't have, the only thing it has is egg whites, almonds, cashews, dates, and no BS. But it has blueberries in it.
Blueberries, okay.
There's no grain. It's just dates and almonds and egg whites.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good thing for on the rush. Like, I'm sure there's lots of pharmacists that can relate to like needing to eat fast.
And eat good, like not just eat, you can grab a lot of stuff fast, but
it will just bring you down. Yay. Well, I'm Bryn. This is Heather. We're doing a unique Pharmacists Out of the Box. We are trying remote because our lives are crazy busy right now, but exciting busy. Heather's got lunch with her sister, and I've got some challenging going in, visiting with doctors, and just trying to connect them to resources. So it's kind of been unique, kind of stepping out of my box and my comfort zone for sure. We were going to share some things that were inspiring us lately. One I've got to send you, and I'll probably link on this, is a YouTube video interview with Jesse Itzler, Itzler. Have you heard of him?
Mm-mm.
I've never heard of him either. The what?
I thought Jesse was a girl. A guy.
No, it's a guy. Yeah.
No, I've never heard of him.
So he had some great concepts. Like, I could not write down enough. He was like, take risks and be embarrassed, get your foot in the door and figure the rest out later. And I love that concept. So as pharmacists, we always think we've got to know everything, and kind of we've studied so much and we've got to know it before we say anything or speak up or take action. But I just love that approach. Kind of go with it, see if that's where you need to go. You'll get the right resources when you need it, kind of attitude. Welcome the unknown and learn from it was another one off his interview that I resonated with. Mm-hmm. And then he actually wrote 10 letters a day, like cards, handwritten, for a whole year. I don't know if he still does that, but I was like, I've always liked writing letters. I should probably do that more, handwrite letters.
He wrote letters to other people?
Yes, people that had impacted him. So he did 10 a day. Mm-hmm. It just made me think, did I even talk to 10 people yet today?
Well, I don't know if you saw on Liz's, we have a common friend, everybody named Liz, but she had that neat idea. I don't know if maybe this is if you connected this at all, but she was recently traveling for a retreat, a women's retreat. And she always takes with her, I think she said 8 to 10 cards. And they're just not birthday cards, but nice cards that are pretty, but they're blank. And she said she would write little things on there, hope you have an awesome trip. I hope everything goes well. It was just a general kind of nice, it was nice talking to you or whatever. She would just write, it wasn't even that. It was something that she could just hand somebody that she just wanted to impact. You're standing in line with your luggage or whatever, and she would see somebody, having a bad time with their kids or whatever. She could throw them a card of have a great day.
So they were pre-made out, kind of pre-thought.
She would have that if she wanted to touch somebody, she would just how nice would that be if you were just standing there and all of a sudden somebody said, here, hope you have an awesome day. And you're like, what? And you open it up and it's this real nice, hope you have a great trip. You're an amazing person, to never forget that kind of thing. Cool. So anyway, something that she does when she travels, just to kind of touch people that she's
nice.
Yeah, just
we did something like that for this charity organization is called Created Gainesville, and they help women get off the streets and get into a job. And some of their outreach mission is just giving them gifts or giving them a card, encouraging them, you are special, we see you, we love you, that sort of thing, just putting positivity. And so it was cool to create the cards one day at our little girls meeting, and it was really cool to be a part of that.
Right. And we tell students that, right? When you go to a rotation, we talked about that during our rotation thing, of just sending somebody a thank you card for being at their rotation, or a thank you card for talking to them if you're trying to impress somebody who's, on a residency, maybe like, or after an interview or whatever, like just
Right.
put that little, nobody thinks about, like, we're all into technology, right? Our phones and everything, but to take the time to just write a note to somebody, it means like a ton when that happens.
Yes.
And like your guy talking about just sending just a thank you to somebody. I think I've heard that before, like just picking one person a day that has
Okay.
impacted you and send them a thank you note, or even if it's an email. He said even if it was an email, like,
Oh, yeah.
because all that energy, like you're saying, that positive energy, that's just going to come back, because likely they're going to respond back to you and be like, oh, I think you're the best. I love that you're doing that or that. Like, it brings energy back to you. So
Interesting. We should do a challenge, like how we did how I did my meditation challenge, because you were already on that. But we should do, like, I think one a day is completely doable.
yeah.
And it doesn't, like you said, have to be handwritten. Maybe we'll work into that.
Email or text even. He said just touch somebody, just somebody that
Yeah.
you're going to go through people. If you do one a day, you're going to reach people that you won't think about initially, and it might be somebody you're not really close to. And just imagine how nice it'd be to all of a sudden they receive a little email from you saying, I think you're awesome. I love that we sat in class together, and I think about how awesome you are and what you're probably doing with your life or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Needs that. Everybody wants that. So that's a
I love
awesome.
that idea.
Yeah,
Okay.
and you said, like, another thing you said about his podcast. Was that a podcast you listened
It was, I probably is a podcast, but it was a YouTube video. I think I was viewing it while I was working on some other stuff. I'm always multitasking.
to? No, and I think you're exactly right, because when I was thinking about us talking this morning, I was thinking, what are some of the challenges? And for me, I get in a rut, or like maybe you have momentum and then it kind of stalls. And for me, I get momentum and then it stalls, or life gets busy and you kind of get in that negative, not negative, but kind of not a positive, I guess, mode of thinking of, you start going into that, oh, well, maybe I'm not really getting any traction anyway, or maybe I just don't have enough time to put enough into this. Like you start talking yourself out of like getting remotivated. And like you talked about, didn't you say something that he said, all the things about staying because no, I know what it was. Because you said you just have to do something. Like I can talk myself out of it of, well, I don't know how to write a contract. So if I really get this business going, I don't know how to write a contract. I mean, what am I trying to do? Like, do I really think I can do this? And you could do that and get yourself kind of unmotivated. But if you just move, like he's talking about, just do something, you're going to keep moving forward. You don't have to be ready for this. Just move forward.
Yes.
Your resources will come to you. You'll figure it out.
Yes. I love it. Like, we're figuring this out, this remote thing.
Well, you're doing it. Well, and that's what we did, Bryn. I admire you for that, because like the first time we met, you're like, we're recording today. And I'm like, okay.
I know. I felt so bad. You didn't even have makeup on.
Oh, that was awesome, because you got us just doing it. And I think we thought, this is what happened for me. We thought everybody was doing this. We thought, oh, we're just trying to get our feet wet in something that the whole world is already doing anyway. But we realized, like, we just did it and we didn't care. And we've gotten a lot of good traction, and we realized that not a lot of people are doing what we're doing like we're doing it. And you just got to get out there and put yourself out there. You'll be right. To me, I was
real.
Yeah.
I love it. So another point he made on here is he designed his life. I don't know if it was like him and his wife, or his wife put this question to him, like, who do you want to be with and what do you want to do? And then that's what you build more of into your life. Who do you want to be with and what do you want to do? And I was like, dang, there's some clarity right there. Like, who do you want to be with and what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I don't know, that's just so cool to me. It like really brings a lot into focus and kind of changes the way I'm thinking about what I'm doing on my days off, or intentionality, how I'm spending time with my family, and just so much. What you say yes to.
Oh, I'm sorry. It makes me think of that conversation we had one time that we recorded about you trying to figure out which things to say yes to, or, you've got so much on your plate, like, what do you focus on? If you have that kind of thinking of, go back to that core mission of like, who do you want to be around and what do you want to be doing? Maybe those questions kind of help you too, when you've got like tons of opportunity and you don't know what direction to go.
Yes. And then like he had a different way of approaching like his relationship with time. Like for a while he would write, you know, if your average lifespan for an American, I think he said was like 78 or I forget what it was. And he was in his 50s or whatever. He'd have like a countdown of how many days and he'd have it like on his hand every day or something. And he stopped writing it. But it's kind of interesting because most people would think, oh, that's kind of like morbid or like, why are you like looking at the end of your day? But it actually propelled him and like motivated him to like take action into like a sense of urgency. And I was like, oh, that's kind of a unique way of looking at it. So, but yes, in another topic, he was talking about building your life resume. So we're always looking at like, what can we add to our CV or how do we, you know, change stuff on social media or LinkedIn? But really, what are you doing socially? Are you writing those letters? Are you holding the door open for someone? Are you smiling? Are you just creating positivity where you go? Are you being the best parent you can? Are you being aware? Are you being the best pharmacist, the best leader you can be? And so there's all these like avenues, like, yeah, it may not translate into typing it out, but what is your life saying about how you're living? And
right. And that makes me think of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, that book. Have you ever read that book?
Yes.
He talks about in there, one of the first things in the beginning, he talks about like picture yourself at your funeral, like you passed away. Like, what do you want said about you? Like, you need to think about that because, you know, what do you want your work people to think about you, say about you when you're passed away? What would you want your family to say about you? And that kind of puts in perspective, who is that person you want to be along the way? Like, maybe it's not the greatest thing that you became the president of a company and you worked yourself, 12 hours a day and you showed the world that you were very capable because you worked every day or whatever. Do you want people to say that about you? Or is it the simple things like you're saying that, oh, she was always so kind. She always held the door for me and let me go first. Or sometimes I think we forget, just like he's saying, about just being a good person. And I think we lose, again, a lot of that in today's world because we're so like into ourselves.
Yes.
I worry about, when I was at the university, I worry about our students because everybody at the university, we're all into ourselves. And you sometimes, and I would notice it in them, and, simple things like it's kind of etiquette in an elevator that when the door opens, you make sure everybody comes out before you go barging in. That's a kind of thing. You don't want to be trying to barge in when people can't even get out of the elevator yet. So it's kind of a courtesy, and we're losing little things like that. Like people just barge into an elevator now instead of kind of waiting to make sure everybody gets off first and then get on. We're all kind of into ourselves. So I think
interesting.
I think I want to be the person, just like he's saying, that does the little things, like just as nice to the person or does the cards, to just a stranger or to your people that, from years past, you thank them. Like, that's amazing. I would love at my funeral for somebody to say, I'll never forget when she sent me that card. That was the sweetest thing. Like, that's, to me, what I want people to say about me. But do we focus on that? Like, you got to be careful not to focus on, I'm going to become the president of my own company. That's important too, but not to lose your compassion for other people.
Yes. Now I know there are some people that I guess have inspired you lately. So you're going to share, I think Gary was one of them.
So Gary Vaynerchuk, he's just I don't know how you describe him, but you can look him up, Gary Vaynerchuk, and he's on YouTube. You can find a little bit. He's on LinkedIn. You can find him in there. His stuff, but he's just a powerhouse. Like, has a ton of energy. He's created, I think, multiple businesses. One of his first success stories that I know about was early on when the internet started. He bought up a bunch of websites, or what are the titles called for like the URLs, I guess.
Okay.
Like you can go on GoDaddy and buy your website link.
Yes.
So he bought up a lot, and he bought up. And people thought he was crazy. They're like, why are you buying these things? And he bought them for like pennies. Like, he bought them for like, they were selling them back then for whatever, like cheap, $5, $4. And you still can get them that way. But he bought big ones. So he bought like Chardonnay.com, all the wines, like Merlot.com. He bought like all the wine names.com.
Oh, interesting.
Because he had like a small wine business. So he bought all those. And he bought even more than he needed because he just saw the power in it or whatever, or the opportunity in it. And then, of course, as things started booming, everybody wanted his Merlot.com and his Chardonnay, like all the big wine companies. So he ended up selling those for tons of money compared to what he paid for them.
That's cool.
He's a thinker like that. Like he's always thinking outside the box. And you got to remember that when you listen to him, because he's very outside the box, and he's very aggressive and very raw, I guess you'd say, very raw. But he'll just tell you like it is. Like I listened to one of his things the other day, and he'll just do a short clip, and just a short clip, I'll get a ton of stuff from him. But he was into that. Just freaking do it. Like you're talking about, like, guys, just move. Like, stop thinking about it. Stop planning it. Eventually, like, just get out there and do it. Like, stop thinking about it. Because nobody else is going to have the energy, because everybody else is sitting there toiling in it and thinking about it. And like, just be the one that just does it. Like, be brave, be motivated, take a chance, be courageous, and just do it. And I think you're a prime example of that. I mean, we're kind of crazy like this too. So just do it. Just do it. Good guy.
Yeah, one of his episodes actually got me the other day. I don't know if it was a LinkedIn article or an actual like YouTube talk, but he was talking about leaders have this false sense that their employees should be working as hard as they do. He's like, get rid of that thought. The whole reason you are hiring them is they do the task that they do. So it frees you up to be that leader, the creator, the thinker. And like in pharmacy, I've spent years in retail community type pharmacy. And I always, I've been a cashier, I've been a tech, I've been an intern, I've been all those roles. And so as a leader, as the manager for, I don't know, more than a decade now, I could empathize and see the changes they're having to go through. And, maybe sometimes I'd want them to work differently or do certain things, or like in my head, I'm like, am I the only one running around here, when it's crazy? And it just made me think, it's like, wait a minute, like, it's almost like a child. You have to be like, here's how you do it, and let them do it. They're going to fall. They're going to bump their knee, and let them do it. And so I did have some of that, but I don't know. It's just hearing it put that way in his talk or in his blog, whatever it was, it's like a light bulb went off. It's like, okay, they are never going to care about this as much as you do. This is your big old license on the line. These are your patients. I mean, yes, they do care, and you can see that, but they have a different way of doing it. And it made me realize, okay, well, it's like I need them to do more MTM things, but what does that entail? So it's kind of like giving them the tasks that fit their role so I can do the more, I guess, more detailed or therapy regimen type thing. So it's kind of interesting just having that concept and like, that's what I need to change and how I'm leading.
And I think in our world, especially, we think as pharmacists, we can't fail, because if we fail, somebody can die. And so we have to be perfect. A lot of us are perfectionists. And so we have a tendency to be kind of that overbearing, like making sure everything is perfect. And so it's hard, I think, for me, I can only speak just for me, I don't take failure very well, because failure can't be accepted, right? In the pharmacy world, like we can't fail because we can
right.
And I think just in me ingrained in that type A personality, like failure is not something that's easily accepted, but you have to have, I've learned a lot that you have to have an environment where failure is okay to a certain extent. Like we don't want to kill anybody, right. But like you said, with your staff, exactly what you said, you have to understand they can't see in your head. They don't have the experience you have. They don't have the knowledge you have. So you've got to let them do it. And they've got to feel like if they trip, that it's okay. You're actually going to be there to help pick them up versus shake a finger at them.
Right.
You create an environment where they're afraid to fail, or afraid to accept or to admit that they tripped or they failed or didn't follow through or something happened. If they're in an environment where they feel like they're always going to get chastised or punished or beat down because they failed, they made a mistake, then they're going to do all kinds of crazy things you don't want them to do. They're going to hide their mistakes. They're going to not admit them, because maybe if they just don't say anything about it, like you won't notice because they don't want to get yelled at or chastised again. But if you make an environment where you're like, wow, this happened. Are you okay? How do you feel about this? Let's talk about what happened. How can we do it differently? Like if you're there instead to make that failure or that misstep a place of growth for them, then they're going to feel like,
Right.
okay, the next time something happens, she's got my back. I know I can come to her and I can just tell her what happened exactly, and I'm not afraid. Because if you create that environment where failure is not accepted, it just creates an environment really you don't want to be in, of people hiding.
Right.
A very dangerous environment. But that's hard for for us as pharmacists to have that kind of feeling. But if you learn how to do it, it makes a great environment with your employees for sure. I mean, you have to tell them this is wrong. We can't let this happen again.
Right.
You have to also support
But
them.
learn, like a learning environment from it. Yes, definitely.
Before we get off Gary, another thing he said, and I think this is good for maybe our entrepreneurs or people who are thinking about branching out of their current role and shifting. It's scary, and we've talked about all that kind of stuff. But one of Gary's things that I listened to this week, it was just a short clip, but he was like, people forget like what it took to get you where you are.
Yes.
So, and they're thinking about, okay, what do I need to do to get to the next place? So for example, and he said, the thing you need to think about is you need to keep doing what worked. So don't stop. You don't have to do something different. You know what worked. So I thought about this, like we go to pharmacy school, right? We give up money, we give up our time. Our family, if we have family, like we give up our time with our family and we devote everything and we work really hard. And then we get this awesome degree and we get a job that we were shooting for and our goal is achieved and we're doing great things. And then we're like, okay, I'm kind of stuck or I'm kind of ready to grow again. I need to take that next step to something else. But then you're like, oh my gosh, what do I do? How do I do that? I don't even know. What do you do? Gary would say, well, what did you do to achieve what you're doing now? Well, you worked hard, you sacrificed, you spoke with your family about it, and you organized your life so that you could work hard and make it happen. Boom. That's the same thing you need to do.
Yes.
So it was kind of cool. He was saying like people achieve things and then they want to do the next big thing and they're like, how do I do it? It's like, oh, what got you here? Like, don't forget, keep doing the same thing because you know that works. Why would you change the recipe? So anyway, that was just kind of interesting for me.
No, that's great. I think that's why we're doing this. There's so many coffee talks we had before we started recording where we're like, okay, we're trying this, this, and this, or just how do we even go about getting insurance for what we're even doing? And just all these like little questions. And I'm like, okay, we just need to record this because other people are trying to grow and think differently and figure out how to help more people. So it's crazy. It's like you do have so much power, and I hope that my friends that are, unhappy where they are can realize there's so much opportunity. Definitely apply yourself, study, learn, connect. There really is just so many people and patients to help. So we probably should wrap this up pretty soon, but do you have any like certain goals you're working on, whether it's like business, self-care, life?
Don't have any goals. You always ask me that. Like, what's your goal for this week? Oh, just
I'm a little obsessed with this. My texts are like, Bryn, really? Do we have to answer this? I'm like, what are your goals this week, guys? There was like 2 weeks I missed it, and they were like, you didn't ask us our goals. I'm like, let's do our goals right now.
You have to have goals. You're right. It's important. I mean, this is silly. What my goal, this is the end of the month. So that's kind of dating this talk, but it's the end of the month. And for me, I do MTM on the side. That's brings in money for me right now. And so since I'm a 1099 employee now, so that means I get paid. I have a contract with somebody and they pay me. They don't pay any benefits or pay any taxes or anything. So I'm responsible for making the money, and then I have to take that money and pay my taxes, pay Medicare, pay Social Security, all that stuff. So I have a budget and I have an idea in my mind of what I have to accomplish today, this month, work-wise, to get the money and everything that I need to live my life or whatever. So my goal this week, actually, I met it last week, was to get the number of patients taken care of that I needed to make the numbers for this month. So I did that. And what that did is I pushed really hard, and then that gave me this week to kind of, now I get to chillax, hang out with you, go meet my sister for lunch, take care of me a little bit more. So that's kind of fun.
Do you use like QuickBooks, or do you have an accountant? Like, how do you go about like figuring out all those numbers?
So I'm a type A, like we kind of most are. Yes. So I have my own spreadsheet. I just use a spreadsheet. Actually, we use Mint too. So Mint is a cool app that you can get. That's kind of a budget app, and Mint on the app connects with your bank accounts. You can connect all your bank accounts, your credit cards. So, and then it puts it in categories. So it knows, you know, the Publix grocery store is groceries. So that money goes into groceries. So it helps you put in your budget, and then it helps you figure out if your expenses, as they feed in, how you're doing on your budget. So it's kind of
Will it do taxes though, and like what you need to take out for Medicare, Social
yeah,
Security?
yeah. That's just more for living expenses and kind of your expenses in general.
Yeah.
I keep to figure out what I needed for the month, or I think if anyone's trying to do their own business and like, okay, how much can I pull off of work and time wise, and how much money would I have to make on this side business that I'm creating? You know, that you have to all do. I do that stuff on my spreadsheet, kind of keeping up with my own stuff. But for the big,
Uh-oh. Did we lose connection? Oh, goodness. Are you still there?
yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure if it caught you. It like paused.
Okay, no, just go. I'll say it. The only thing is, I would say for, like you said, for paying taxes, for paying Medicare, for paying Social Security, all that stuff. I have a CPA. I mean, I just had to get somebody, because you have to prepay your taxes because nobody's pulling them out of your check, and so the government won't let you just wait to the end of the year. You're going to get a penalty for just waiting and not paying them anything all year. So you have to pay quarterly taxes.
Gotcha.
And I had to calculate that. So my CPA, my accountant, they're not that expensive, to be honest with you. It's less than $1,000 a year, and they do your taxes, and then they do everything for me. And then they send me little coupons, and I just pay my taxes. Like, they tell me what to do, and I do it. It's definitely worth the money if you're going to like start your own business or run your own business and make your own money and have to do that, to have a CPA. And it's very affordable.
Did you just find that CPA like word of mouth, or did you personal friend?
Yeah, I would say talk to any of your friends who are realtors. Realtors usually work for themselves. So same boat, right? They're usually, I mean, even if they work for like a big box, just so you know, a big box company, usually they have to pay their own taxes and so forth. They're 1099 employee is what it's called. So realtor friends are a good place to go to say, hey, who do you use for your accountant to do your taxes? Yeah, anyone who's running their own business would be able to give you, yes, I would definitely get good advice. I went to my financial manager, my retirement guy, like it was on our show.
Yes.
James. And I said, I need a CPA. Who would you recommend? And, they gave me a different perspective because they're big.
Okay.
It was helpful to go to them, but they were kind of big picture where I just needed somebody to take care of me, little me. So I got more information from my friends, actually.
Cool. Interesting.
Hey, what are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish?
So I've been having so much fun, like still doing like my gym workouts, I've added in like acupuncture and yoga. So like the self-care is just like awesome. I've still been meal prepping on my own, but I'm going to rehire my nutrition coach because I got a lot of value out of like the meal plans she would make for me. It would keep me more on point. Like I'm finding myself like reaching for more chocolates and peanut butter, and to a certain extent, I'm like, okay, well, maybe there's something in that my body needs. And then at the same time, I'm like, okay, you need some focus, some discipline, or some guidance. So I'm super excited to work with Tabitha again, and just kind of, it feels like it's more autopilot, but I still learn because she will give me all the macro breakdowns. So I'm excited for this like new little adventure with her and just being able to learn. But at the same time, I don't have to put so much thought into my meal planning because she's going to kind of set it up for me. So I just kind of have to prep it. And that's a challenge with like a toddler at home, but I got this. I'm excited. I'm super motivated. And then let's see. Oh, we've been doing more like date nights. So getting the babysitters lined up, we did biking on Monday, did like 20 miles. It was insane, but it was wonderful. We haven't been in a while. Woo! And live music. I want to add live music because when this guy started talking about like, what do you really enjoy in life? Like, what do you want to do? Who do you want to be with? And it's like, yes, like, let me add in more date nights. Let me add in live music, just being outdoors more. And then getting out of my comfort zone. So I really want to truly change healthcare. I want to impact patients' lives. I want there to be more tools available to practitioners. You can go in these offices, you can see the stress, you can see these work environments are very, very busy. And some of the technology and the tools I've been learning about, these would help lessen that stress. It would give more clarity for the prescribing. It would cause less adverse effects. And to me, that motivates me just because I want to see patients and people in my community healthier, getting solutions, getting well. And I want to see less stress for our fellow providers. It's heartbreaking sometimes, like seeing the amount they do, but you can tell they care so much. Like they have great teams around them, supporting them, and they truly do care. So it's been just an honor to be in those offices and chatting and trying to figure out how we can best serve. And I just encourage, like, it's so crazy. So last week I kept getting, you're a pharmacist and you're here to visit me? And I'm like, yeah. Yes, I am. And I'm like, why is this a new concept? We should be in here all the time. So people, pharmacists, go visit your doctors, visit your teammates. We always talk on the phone to the nurses, but like this face-to-face meeting people has just been a blessing and just really neat. So I just go in there with an open mind and see what I can learn or how I can help.
Yeah. And I think you believing in yourself like you do are kind of making that compassionate kind of realization that you want it, what you want is needed and what you want is important. Then that you talk to people or you talk to physicians, that comes across like it's genuine. Then your message is like genuine versus you scripting out something just to sell yourself. I think it's really important to like connect, like you're saying, with where your heart truly is. And then how can you connect that with what the message you're trying to give to who you're trying to. Yeah, that's really, it makes it, when it comes from your heart like that, like it's felt from them. And so I think that's a better way to connect. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. So those are just like lots of challenges up ahead for me, but I love it. It's fun.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So this week.
The what?
I said lots of good stuff this week.
Lots of good stuff. And then you've got your cruise. That'll be amazing. So yeah, we are excited. Hopefully you guys have had lots of golden nuggets from just our little chatting over coffee this morning. We've got to run and do our things, meet our sisters, meet our doctors, and have fun.
Yeah.
Any last words?
Just one more thing I just wanted to share. It's kind of one of those Heather floofy things.
Yes.
But,
Love it.
Beginning, I was thinking that's why I was holding it. I didn't know if we were going to record again. But just one of those crazy things happened again, that the law of attraction, I'm going back to the law of attraction. And so the law of attraction, just to remind everybody, is the energy, wherever your thoughts are, that is where your energy will go. And that's the kind of energy you're going to put in your space all the time. So your thoughts control that. So if you were in the negative sense to just say, man, I'm unhappy in my marriage, and man, my job sucks, and my kids make me crazy. And if you just live in that negativity, your thoughts of that are throwing out negative energy, and your environment is going to constantly be kind of negative, and you're only going to really bring negativity back to yourself. So, because it comes back to you, the universe is listening, as we say, and so it sends back whatever message you're sending out. It's like, okay, negativity, that's what you're in, that's what you need, that's what I'll keep giving you. But if you change that, so the law of attraction is, even in those situations where maybe you're not the happiest, you want more joy in your marriage, and your kids, you want them to be stronger, better people.
Go to bed.
Instead of just toiling in the negativity, if you can just change the perspective of your thoughts to other things that are more positive, then you can really change your environment. So anyway, that's the law of attraction. So if you just changed your thoughts to be thankful and think of like 2 things every day that you're thankful for your husband for, because there's something in your family, your life, that you've got to be thankful for. You're thankful that he has a job, or you're thankful that he's still there, even though he's probably not happy to, or whatever. Like, you got to find something. If you can find like 2 things to be thankful for your children, 2 things to be thankful for your job. Like, if you can keep doing that and change your perspective from negative to positive about the situation, then the universe listens, and the universe, that positive energy that you're now throwing out, it listens to, and it connects with, and it sends more positive things your way. And that is so true. Even in the midst of despair, it's like crazy how this works. So you can manifest things, is what they call it. So you can, if you change your thoughts to, if you kind of put your thoughts where you want to be. Like in a business, you're like, okay, people talk about like vision boards. Like if you put up pictures of the house you want and the car you want and the vacations you want to take, and you have visual pictures there, and you see them daily, you think about them, you kind of imagine what it's like when you get that car, what it's going to be like. So you envision yourself kind of already in that house or whatever. Then those things will manifest. They will come. And so I've just been doing a lot of positive thinking and not really beating myself down. Like, Heather, you're never going to be good at this, trying to shift your life. You know, how are you going to pay the bills? You're not bringing in as much money as you were before. Like just all those negative. I've tried to like push those away, and I'm like, I'm not going to be in that space. I'm going to be, I can't wait till this business takes off. I love these podcasts. Who knows where that's going to go. Anyway, I've been thinking of that. And toward the bills thing, I've just gotten, my husband even will get really stressed about the bills. And I'm just like, I don't know, I've changed my insides. I've just changed because I'm like, I'm not worrying about that. Like, it's going to be okay. Like, and the craziest thing, Bryn, have happened. The craziest things, like, money just has come. Like, I never would have imagined, because I didn't hold on to that fear. Fear is painful. So I've just like pushed the fear aside and said, no, I'm doing this. Positive things are happening. Positive people are coming into our lives with all this that we're doing. Opportunities are coming into our lives. Like everything is moving and flowing just like I feel in my heart. It should be. I think when you flow with your heart, then you need to trust God and just say, this feels right. This feels like the place I'm supposed to go. And that fear that keeps nipping at you, I'm just like, I'm not going to listen to that, because that will make me turn around and go backwards. And I'm not going to turn around. Anyway,
amen.
So this week, actually yesterday, I was talking about budgeting. I was looking at my budget and I was like, oh man, I probably could make more MTM calls. I probably could, I started getting into that fear, and now I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. So yesterday I found $5,000 in somewhere I didn't even know it was there. And
nice.
Yes. And it was free money. It was like, we talked with James about points on your credit card or whatever. And I thought, let me just see how many points I have. What does that even equate to? And I found I have $5,000 on that credit card on points.
That's crazy.
Away from me, fear. Like, I'm out of here. Anyway, but that is just one example that happened this week. But I've had multiple things happen. Like my bug man. Here's another example. I had to pay my termite contract. I know we got to go, but the termite. Fund, I don't know if you have a termite contract.
Oh yeah.
Every year, and it's like $500 or whatever. I pay it for the big,
like, poke at the walls.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a lot of money at the time when we were just shifting and everything. And I was like, $500. I really don't want to put that on, but I had to come up with it. So they gave me a call like the day before they came out. They're like, Mrs. Hardin, we just found a huge credit on your account from 2017 that'll for your termite contract. Would you like to put it towards a termite contract? I'm like, yes, I would. But I mean, it's just crazy, Bryn, to kind of put your mind in a space where you're like, I'm going to be okay. The money is going to be there. I'm not going to let money be my fear that's going to stop me from keeping on going forward and following my passion. And boom, boom, boom. The universe has just sent me. That's silly to say, but it happened. And yesterday it happened again. I was like, what?
That is awesome.
So anyway, that was just a blessing that happened yesterday that I was like, can't believe it.
Well, I just love how like authentic you are and just so real. It's just so much fun doing these.
There's like a little line there that I teetle on, but yeah.
I love living on the edge.
A little bit crazy. But anyway, so it was a great week. I mean, it's been a great week so far. So I hope it's a great week for our listeners and our watchers. Thank you guys for watching our conversation.
Yes, thank you. I'm Bryn.
I'm Heather.
Have a great week. And remember, get outside that box. Pharmacists out of the box.
Out of the box.